Okay. Okay, thanks, Minister. I will do so. And good afternoon to the honorable members. So the four grants that the Minister of Finance is alluding to sits on the budgets of the departments of human settlements and cooperative governance. We haven't received any requests from the transferring officers to release this money in terms of the Division of Revenue Act. What we do know is that both departments, as the national transferring officers, have received requests from provinces and municipalities to access these grants. These grants have specific conditions that needs to be met, and they're different for the human settlements grants compared to the cooperative governance grants. The conditions in relation to the cooperative governance grants includes requirements that provinces and municipalities should submit their disaster risk mitigation plans to show what they have done to reduce any of the damages that has popped up. They have to also include any information in relation to insurance that they might have on the infrastructure. We can confirm that municipalities are telling us that they do have insurance for damaged infrastructure in some cases. What we are now picking up is that in a lot of cases, municipalities are now double dipping. So despite them having insurance, they're choosing to not put in insurance claims, or they're not waiting for the insurance claims to be finalized before coming to request funds from these conditional grants. In relation to the emergency housing grants with human settlements, things like the applications need to include things like verified beneficiary lists to ensure that the money goes to the right people, that the cash flows for the first 3 months is included. There's a verified assessment report. And in a lot of cases, municipalities or the Department of Human Settlements has not received complete applications from municipalities and provinces in relation to the conditions that has been set in the grant that is part of the application. And that is holding us up. The Department of Cooperative Governance has written back to provinces and municipalities asking for the outstanding information, and they are waiting that. And similarly with the Department of Human Settlements. So we haven't received requests from these transferring officers to release the money, but they are processing requests that they have received from provinces and municipalities. Thank you, Minister.
Over to you, Chen.
No, thank you, Honourable Minister, for that very frank input into this meeting. It's appreciated. I will now hand over to the co-chair, the Honourable Nyambi, who will take questions of clarity from the honourable members who are part of this meeting. Thank you.
Greetings to you, Minister, and your team, colleagues. This is what it is. The Minister summarized the presentation for us to be able to engage. Honorable Hlengwa, you'll be the first one, followed by Honorable Dutoit.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Co-Chairs, Honorable Minister and colleagues. Look, Chair, of course, what the Minister says is basically elementary in the reality of what happens in any disaster management and so far as funding is concerned, and whether departments choose to utilize Note 3 and the expansion, the deviations, and whatever it is that goes on. But that's the high-level explanation, Chair. And I think that there must be some sort of caution which is exercised in how these things are communicated to the public. We, shortly after the disaster, hot on its heels, in fact, an announcement of 1 billion rands is made to the public, setting into motion a legitimate expectation from the hardest hit of our people that they are going to receive funds, that they're going to receive assistance. And here we are, from April to June, there has been very, very little movement. And so the question then, Chair, becomes probably twofold. One, what assistance is National Treasury giving to the affected municipalities and provinces in order to be able to facilitate in a manner that is consistent with law and applications which meet the basic expectations of what an application should have, even just the minimum requirements, so that assistance can be made available. Because we went to KwaZulu-Natal, and at every instances, we have not received money from national, we have not received money from national, because the moment this is declared a national disaster, national assumes responsibility, but it's not the implementing agent or the implementing sphere of government insofar as the disaster relief is concerned. And so my worry, Chairperson, is that South Africans have been informed that there's money available. You had the deputy mayor of eThekwini coming down as like a ton of bricks, you know, and even this week now sort of backtracking on that very arrogant outlook that we had, but backtracking now to say, well, money is required and that they don't have money. Now, when a metro such as eThekwini in itself is unable to, you know, even meet the basic requirements and is still lamenting about not having received funds, it just worries one that is there an end in sight of this disaster insofar as funds being made available. So the basic outlook, Chairperson, is the extent to which National Treasury is involving itself to ensure that the reprioritization that they speak of, the 1 billion rands and so on and so forth, actually reaches the people. I hear the very technical, nuanced explanations and frankly, like a bullet explanation to say there's 4 funds, and that's all very nice. But that's high level. It means very little to the ordinary man in the street who has been hard hit by this disaster and whose hopes were literally hung on an announcement hot on the heels of this disaster that money is available. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Hlengwa. I will plead with those that will be following, including with the Honorable Minister when dealing with the responses, to have our videos on for broadcasting purposes. Honorable Du Toit.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Minister, during our visit in KZN, it was evident that more than 1 billion rand would be needed to address this disaster. And in the presentations that was placed on the table, it was mentioned that initial documents and requests were sent through to National Treasury by the province. And it was also mentioned that not only the disaster took place, but rain fell after the disaster took place, incurring in further damage, resulting in those figures to be amended and for the request to also be amended that's sent through to National Treasury. I want to know, I mean, you initially mentioned that no request was received, and then Ms. Britton said that documentation was submitted, but that the signatures of the engineers lacked, and it was sent back to the Premier for rectification. Can we have a confirmation if any request of provinces were successful with regards to obtaining funds from this 1 billion rand that was promised, number A? Number B, does National Treasury have the capacity to avail more funds than the 1 billion rand that was promised by the President, in the light of mention being made of more than 25 billion rand being needed to address this issue? Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Toit. Honorable Totov.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. And let us welcome the contribution and explanation from the Minister in respect of the 1 billion rand that was allocated for this purpose. Firstly, I want to express my revulsion and dissatisfaction on the fact that the amount that was allocated for this purpose has not been accessed. And the Minister says no department has indicated that they are not going to use the money. When we were in KZN, it is quite clear that the money is needed. It is quite clear that the communities affected are still devastated and they do not get the necessary help. In one instance, for example, in the municipality of Umlalazi, there were about 80 houses that were allocated and only less than that was built. And the explanation was that we still need more funds for this particular purpose. That demonstrates the fact that the need is still huge. And for me, sitting here, understanding the magnitude of the problem, I find it very unacceptable that the departments have not coordinated themselves at national level to ensure that there is a way that there is an engagement and that if there is a problem such as this, that the plans are not available and submitted to the Department of Treasury. Somebody should be able to speak to that. The department should be able to raise that particular matter because the need is dire. For me, this is really, really unacceptable. Now, based on what I'm saying, the following questions, Honorable Minister. Is there any coordination at national level amongst the different departments to ensure that you sit, you discuss, you assess progress
Unfortunately, I can't hear Honorable
or the allocation of funds, but in respect of the whole disaster as a whole, because this work funds that are made available for this particular purpose. Now, yes, my question is there any form of coordination in respect of these particular funds to gauge and assess whether the departments are able to act? Why there's no coordination? This particular fund that has been allocated or announced by the president are used for the purposes intended. For me, indicated the need is dire. The amounts that are needed is even more than 1 billion, but just a mere 1 billion rands has not been utilized for this particular purpose. And for me, that is.
Thank you, Honorable Totovu. Honorable Lesoma.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. May I request from your good self that I don't switch off my video. I show my love, myself, and also my picture at the back, and then it looks very clumsy.
Okay.
If I may do that, thank you very much. Chair, let's welcome the Honorable Minister having set aside the time to meet with us. Notwithstanding that, we would have loved to meet him before we went to the provinces. Secondly, Chair, I'm not too sure whether I've missed it. The Minister spoke to the presentation, but I'm checking on my emails and my WhatsApp. I don't see it. If one can be finished with, that's one. I will tell you why, because it will then indicate which, like the issue of KZN, and also probably the day the submission was made. I 100% agree with the Minister that you can't just throw the money without any plan how it's going to be utilized, and also any quality assurance in terms of engineering and all that. But the point that as this committee we want to say, based on our mandate, is that we are supposed to oversight in terms of what has been promised by ministers, but also to assist them in talking to your good office, Honorable Minister, in terms of saying that our communities are in dire state, and also they are very impatient with us. Wherever is possible, where you can assist and inform the, what you call them, the transfer officers, building on the point that has been raised by Honorable Totovu, to say how best can it be done, notwithstanding that we are aware that the presidency should be coordinating, assisted by COGTA in terms of, because it's a disaster, it falls under COGTA to do that. But if even from your side, because the public knowledge that everybody had this understanding of that 1 billion, but you have also clarified now in this meeting, which I'm happy. But Chair, also the last one, which would be a recommendation to your good self co-chairs, to request for this submissions from provinces, as Eastern Cape have promised to furnish it, so that also we're not just verbally told that they've made submissions, but we do have that information, so that when we engage in a near future with the Minister of Finance, at least we know, and also specifically in terms of the 3 provinces that were still were supposed to be oversighting in terms of the floods, plus Western Cape, that we are clear what is outstanding, so that we can confidently say, submit this thing so that the money can be released, because they are aware. And also the treasurer to assist them where is identification of capacity in terms of technical and otherwise, in terms of submitting the business plans. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The last one is Honorable Khai.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Greetings to the Minister. I have struggled initially to connect, so I missed out on the grants that the Minister was mentioning, but I could hear them from a distance from those who are connected nearby. So I think I've been partly covered by the 2 speakers before me, particularly on the issue of coordination, but I also want to make emphasis on the issue of a report. That we receive the report so that we compare what the provinces are saying and what the Treasury is also saying. Because I was listening now to the Minister, initially there were no requests that were submitted, but then the lady in the office confirmed that the requests had been received, but they've been returned back to provinces. But if we had a written report, we'd be able to understand. But despite the 1 billion issue, so I would like to find out from the Minister if there are any arrangement for further funding other than just the 1 billion. Because we just received a report from the COGTA MEC in the just roads, the damage to roads, it's more than 1 billion for one province. Yet we're talking about 3 or even 4 at the later stage for provinces. I want to find out if there are any arrangement in place to make sure that more money other than just the 1 billion will be made available to the provinces that have been affected. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Khai. Honorable Minister, if you can cast this dealing with the question.
I think Chair, I think what would be helpful for the committee is to have a joint meeting with all the relevant stakeholders so that we should be able to separate fact from fiction. Or let me show my camera. Let me just say, it would be useful to have a joint meeting with all the affected COGTA, the relevant provinces, so that we should be able to, and human settlement, so that we should be able to separate fact from fiction. When we presented the question that arises, did we provide assistance? The answer is yes, to the limited capability we can. What we did, every province on the same time, everybody, including provinces. For instance, when the MEC for Finance, which was surprising, goes around and complain that we don't know what the bill on and so on and so on, I personally took up, we spoke on the phone. I personally spoke to Nomsa Dube and said, these are the processes. And I phoned my DG. My DG said, I've already spoken to the H of Treasury in KZN, walked it through what this thing is about, what the processes are, and what the conditionalities attached are. Now, Treasury can only provide the technical advice on how to do things, which we have done. But Treasury can't go then and provide assistance in filling the forms. So they have got a responsibility then after getting the explanation to fill the forms. It can't be Treasury's responsibility to assist them to do that. That's a fact. Even for eThekwini, a municipality of that size with a developed treasury, which go to the financial market and borrow money, to say they can't fill a form just to get, so we can't fill the beneficiaries, for instance, for housing. We don't know that. So my sense is that's why I'm saying we'll end up backing at the wrong tree. That's the first place. The 1 billion, I've made the point. The 1 billion was the first phase of what is called immediate response, immediate relief. That's what that 1 billion is for. The second phase, which may be, as another member from Detroit says, it could be about 25 billion or so. That's what is called recover and repair. That amount, once it comes to Treasury then will have to look at resources, how to fund it, including looking at the contingent reserve. So that second phase will, once quantified, Treasury then will make the necessary adjustment, because in the adjustment for that funding. So in the absence of that information landing on our desk, we can't even deal with that. So we've not even finished the first phase of immediate relief. The second phase then is going to come to us. We will then assess it, make the appropriate adjustment on the budget, including drawing funds from the contingency reserve. So that's where we are. Is there a coordination? Yes, there is a disaster management IMC, which is supposed to be coordinating this stuff. It's not as meeting as regularly as it should, in my view. But that general, the trust of what the honorable members are asking, and I would ask the team to circulate the presentation and the briefing document, which we have circulated to everybody. So from where we sit, we've done everything possible. And as a result, yesterday I was speaking to the Minister of Human Settlement. I've said, guys, I'm being attacked that I've mentioned R1 billion and you have not drawn from that amount. And she assured me that the CFO are making a submission. So about announcement, there's nothing wrong in making an announcement and making sure that people are under pressure. There's nothing wrong. The amount is there. It's a fact. The amount is there. I've read all the guidelines. It's a fact. The amount is there. The fact that people do not have the capacity to do the right things can be laid at the door of National Treasury. It can't. And my honorable members. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, Co-Chair, Honorable Frolik, Honorable Minister, colleagues, what is coming out clearly in this meeting is very unfortunate. Very unfortunate in the sense that as an ad hoc joint committee dealing with the disaster relief and recovery, we are very clear about our program. And the first thing that we did when we had Honorable Minister of Culture and Minister of in the Presidency, Honorable Ngungubele, and the AG. And of course, what was missing is this meeting. And both ministers were able to clarify all the phases, starting from the first one, the second one, the third one. When we went to KZN, after the joint sitting and the Parliament deciding to establish this ad hoc committee, and how President decided to have this urgent joint sitting to deal with this disaster. When we went to KZN, the magnitude of the problem on the ground, Honorable Minister, Why I am saying it's an unfortunate what we're discussing, it's when the people on the ground can hear that the problem is filling of forms. And the sooner the administration is securing the meeting that will have all relevant stakeholders in one room so that we can get to the bottom of it. We have met the others, and of course, it will be good even to extend beyond the relevant Minister of Human Settlement, yourself, Minister in the Presidency, Minister of Culture, and have all the relevant MECs and premiers of the affected provinces so that you can deal with this thing. And that's where we'll have a way forward. And the sooner the better, because the situation in KZN is dire. And the people are spending a lot just to access some towns and villages. More than 600 schools affected. And yet we have the problem of forms. And we're able to cover much ground in KZN. And from what was presented to us, it's totally different to the understanding we're getting now. But we want to have a lasting solution to this so that it can be not an issue of to and fro. Thanks for this presentation, and over and above what is coming out very clearly today, it's for us to have that meeting, but I will afford my colleague, Co-Chair Frolik, to deal with the addition in terms of the way forward that will assist us so that we can assist the people that are standing on the ground. As we're speaking, Minister, you are aware why in the Eastern Cape, dealing with the very same challenges. And what is even coming very clearly, even in the Eastern Cape, over and above the April challenges, we have the backlog of the December floods that affected Eastern Cape. And yet we have the issue of some forms, whether it's an issue of capacity that was raised by Minister in the Presidency, that it's high time that as and when we do appointments, we have at all times to make sure that we have right people in right positions. But before I can give it to my co-chair, I will allow Honorable Hlengwa. Honorable Hlengwa.
No, thank you, Chair. Look, I think we're going to end up speaking in rings and circles. And so, Chair, it's fine. Let's have that meeting. But I must be honest, I don't get a sense, Chair, that National Treasury takes responsibility for anything here. At all in this crisis. If I can just ask, of the immediate relief of the 1 billion rands that was announced, how much has been transferred to any department, municipality, or of the affected provinces? Because the operative word there is that it's immediate relief, and the floods were in April, we are now in June. Thanks, Chair.
Can I come in, Chair, and resolve this and address this question? Because there's also a question placed there. Is that 1 billion available, assuming the department? We had an emergency IMC on this matter, and we made sure that asset and liabilities in Treasury has made available this. We asked a similar question at the time. And then asset and liabilities and treasury assured us that, and we are confirmed in an IMC meeting that that 1 billion is available. Unfortunately, Mr. Hlengwa, I refuse to take any responsibility. If people can submit anything, a document to us, and we can't accept any responsibility. We don't just dish out money without a document.
Honorable Minister, thanks. I think, Honorable Hlengwa, you are correct that the to and fro might be a problem. That is why the concrete way forward is where we'll have all the relevant stakeholders in one room so that once and for all we can get to the bottom of it. Honorable Frolik, Co-Chair.
No, thank you, Honorable Nyambi, and thank you to the members who participated. Thank you, Honorable Minister. I think the way forward is quite clear. We must get those different political heads of those departments together in one meeting because the need is out there. There's even a belief in KwaZulu-Natal that the political leadership there is under pressure because people think the money has been provided already, and now we hear that it hasn't been even accessed. We will put the necessary measures in place as soon as possible, Honourable Minister, to get your colleagues from Cabinet with those HODs to be present so that we can deal with this matter. Honourable members, Honourable Minister, thank you for your participation. This meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Recording stopped.